Supporting wise teachers with integration of standards, curriculum, and technology, this is eTech Connection. Medtech Online features John Southworth and his 11th grade chemistry class from the University of Hawaii Laboratory School. The students take an electronic field trip to a medical technology lab. Pre and post email and collaboration on NiceNet combine with the video conference visit to create a complete interactive learning experience in cyberspace.
The electronic field trip model is something that I've used for a good many years. It involves using computer-based educational telecommunications to take into the classroom rather than the distance learning traditional mode of out to the thousands, hundreds, dozens of students elsewhere. And the ability to bring into your classroom resources from wherever. It can be across campus, around the world. The techniques are basically the same.
You can stay in your classroom and you can call almost anywhere in the world with that, and you can learn anything through the computer and the phone.
I haven't taken very many courses. I kind of got it in by the back door, as they say. I began experimenting with it in early days when I was teaching in general science, and then I began applying it. Particularly the recognition of our available technologies. In terms of the ideal versus the available, I would end up still waiting if I were looking for the ideal. And because we see so many dazzling, fancy things, and I'd like to try some of them too, but I still fall back sometimes on things like the Lumaphone, which is seen as obsolete by many people. A Lumaphone is simply a telephone with a camera on it, a still camera that takes still black and white pictures. In 1987, we had a grant that got a Lumaphone for every school in the state. In relation to particularly this form of the electronic field trip and applicability across the curriculum, I think one needs to look at some of the general elements of what we call the core and standards, and certainly those that relate to communication. The ability to develop creative thinking in the process, to develop the ability to communicate, whether it be spoken, written, whatever, different skills in that regard. It certainly then can be used to reinforce areas that deal with awareness and information transfer. So I think that it doesn't matter what subject you're in. This is how educational technology really is more than developing technology skills, which is certainly an important side benefit of this. But it's much more important as to how it furthers the whole educational learning process. Our electronic field trips and the career awareness program in Medtech is a good example where we have had the opportunity for our students in chemistry to be linked with practicing medical technologists.
We've been doing electronic field trips for almost 20 years now. John Southworth has been very good at starting this project.
This electronic field trip is much more convenient for all of us because we just have to go to the computer lab at our own school instead of traveling somewhere else to ask him questions and find out answers and see what he does and learn everything we would learn if we were actually there.
Electronic field trips are a lot better than just sitting in the classroom because you're not sitting there and just watching the teacher talk about something, or you're not reading from a text that you don't understand.
By doing the electronic field trip, we're able to show them more without subjecting them to possible danger and biohazardous environment or exposing them to patients, which might compromise patients' privacy. First, students will introduce themselves on either electronic mail or web-based conference mode, and if they have any questions specific to medical technology, they can ask us. The part two of that is for students to see medical technologists working in the laboratory, and this is done by videotaping. The reason we do this is because we don't want a whole bunch of students visiting clinical laboratory at one time. It is a relatively safe place, but still we have the biohazardous material and we have patients there, so we don't want the students to visit them in person. And then we follow up with live conferencing, either through telephone conferencing, or this time we did the computer-based video conferencing, where students will individually come up to the camera and introduce themselves, and also ask us any follow-up questions, and we'll try to interact with them. At the conclusion, the student monitor will try to wrap up any other questions they might have, And then we go to asynchronous mode again, where students will give us follow-up questions and we'll try to answer them.
Oh, the students react generally very positively. They tend to be surprised sometimes at what they learn.
Well, I learned what a blood smear was, because I never heard of that in my life.
You can actually find diseases in the blood smears.
You can see abnormalities in cells.
I think this kind of learning is neat because it opens up new pathways.
Substitute for class visits, so we can talk to other people across the nation and across the world.
I think that we learn just as much from the internet and on the computer as we would if he were to come to talk to us.
We can actually get on the computer and be more involved with the learning process.
The engagement of the student in learning, because they can see relevance, because they can be in touch with people that are really doing this and outside of the classroom. So much of our time is in the classroom. And the ability to be in touch with whether it be a scientist or a musician, an artist, a historian, I think this gives the reality to the classroom.
And eTech Connections thanks to John Southworth and his class, along with Dick Tashima of the Medical Technology Division of the University of Hawaii. We encourage you to explore the resources John has provided on the eTech Connections website, including the project outline, standards met, and a special tutorial on using NiceNet for your classroom. In addition, feel free to explore our website for other overview and feature videos, workshop offerings, tips on getting grants, and more. Medtech Online has been a Lei Aloha production of the Educational Technology Department, College of Education, University of Hawaii.